stylish. He doesn't stop a lot of people. He's clever. He's lovely to watch. But he can't quite make it. And there's a history of small guys who can't quite make it.
6 knockouts says it all.
6 knockouts, that says it all. This guy, the Filipino, is being shown in Manila and all over Britain and Ireland, this fight. Obviously, they're big fans of our Filipino pal. You know what, he's a pleasure to watch, Calderon. Pleasure to watch.
Well, let's see him put his title on the line. It is Ivan Calderon against Rodel Mayol. Let's get ourselves across to Madison Square Garden.
Mayol, who's won his last 2 bouts after losing 2 in a row, is dangerous. He has 19 knockouts to his credit. And here we go, scheduled for 12. Calderon, the southpaw, this is his first fight at Madison Square Garden, and he's really been looking forward to it.
I know he has, and it's a little interesting wrinkle here. A little fly in the ointment was that he was disappointed to find out he would not be part of the American television telecast. And he was told by the TV executives, you be sensational tonight and we'll give you a shot. Now, this is a guy who's only got 6 knockouts. He's a pure boxer. Let's see if he alters his style to try to impress TV executives. Wouldn't be the first time.
You've seen Mayol before.
Yes.
In his only other fight here in the U.S. that was outside of Chicago.
Yes.
And he lost to Solis.
Yes, he did. That's Ulysses Solis, who's a terrific puncher in his own right. But I'll tell you what, Mayol had Solis on the canvas with a left hook. It was not ruled a knockdown, but I'll tell you, my eyes tell me it was, and I watched the replay today. He had him down. He had him hurt several other times. It was a very tough fight, but he was knocked out with an overhand right. So he's got some vulnerability, but he is certainly capable of hurting Ivan Calderon.
All right, they're both in at just over 106. Mayol does have 4 inches in height over Calderon.
He's also got a significant reach advantage, which, you know, might make a difference here because, as I say, Calderon's a boxer. He does not look for knockouts. He did have one, I think in 2006 was the last time, but it's not his game.
Right.
He needs to box.
How do you think the southpaw style will work against Mayol?
You know, it's interesting, but in the lower weight classes, you see more southpaws than you do in the higher weight classes. I bet you that Mayol has got a pretty decent amount of experience against him. And another thing is, I love the left hook against the southpaw. He's got a good left hook. I think it's a great weapon. I don't think it should hurt him.
And he used a good right hand lead and followed with a left hook.
He's a very good straight puncher, Mayol.
And he's backed up Calderon.
You know, I can't emphasize enough the effect that it may have on Calderon, that he wants to impress people in this fight, because he's 34 years old, wants to get a TV shot, you know, wants to get a big money fight. It's very tough for a guy who's 106 pounds and a lefty to get very much attention in this country. So we'll have to see. I mean, quite frankly, his style has not always been crowd-pleasing. He's a great boxer.
For Calderon, more of a feeling out first round. Mayol's been a little more aggressive. A little wild with those 2 punches, end of round 1.
Straight sa tiyan. Ugagan sa dre, di ba? Para nga. Ang hook, si Migay, bang hook. Hindi yan, ha? Okay? Mindan ang dula, ha? Ikaw gadala sa dula. Mindan, ha? Tip. Sakitan siya. Pag-isip mo, pak! Una sa dyan, perme. Tas ka mo, ha? Dipin sa doong, liyo puno. Okay?
Mayol's first trip to New York. Has fought most of his fights in the Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan. A couple of trips to North America. As we mentioned, the fight in Chicago or outside of Chicago a couple of years ago.
Right, that was on the undercard of David Diaz and Eric Morales. That was a big crowd, and I'll tell you what, you know, he stood up to that crowd pretty well. Of course, here it's a little bit different because when you fight in Madison Square Garden and you're from Puerto Rico, it's like your house. And Sam, one thing I want to point out about Calderon is this guy has not fought since last August.
Yeah.
Last fight ended in a technical win for him, but he got cut very badly and has not fought in 10 months. That's a long layoff, probably the longest since he's been a significant fighter.
Got cut. They went to the scorecards and he won the decision.
And the thing that was interesting about that fight was that he was actually in a little bit of trouble in that fight. I know that he was ahead on the cards at the time of the stoppage, but he had just lost a couple of rounds and things were not exactly going his way. The cut actually came at a good time.
Seems a little cautious to me, Calderon.
It's possible because it was a very, very bad cut. It came from a clash of heads. The opponent's name was Hugo Cazares, and he had been coming on at the time of the fight, at the time of the stoppage. And again, you know, ring rust, 10 months off, slightly older fighter at 34. And this is not an easy opponent.
Calderon fought here in New York City in the New York Golden Gloves back in '95 and won a championship. But this is his first time in the big house, in the big arena.
You know, in the early going here, Sam, it just seems like Mayol is the stronger fighter, which is not really a surprise, but he's also pushing the champion backward. You know, and even if there aren't a lot of clean punches landed, that always helps you win rounds.
Neither man has really opened up much.
No, I thought Mayol had a pretty good first round. This round is a little quieter.
Defensively, Calderon is excellent.
Well, you know, he doesn't hide the fact that he's a defense-first guy. You know, he's not out there to get hurt or, you know, particularly to hurt his opponent. He's out there to put on a boxing show like some greats have. Pernell Whitaker, I mean, would tell you the same thing. You know, I'm in there to hit and not get hit.
He slips punches well. He picks off punches well with his gloves. He moves well. The question is, can he impress people with his offensive skills? The defense is certainly there. End of round 2. Mayol didn't do much in that second round.
No, he didn't, but he did keep the pressure on. He did keep his man moving backwards. He landed a decent one, too, near the end, but, you know, you wonder how much of an advantage a champion comes in with, and if the judges watch the fight thinking that you have to go out there and win the round from the champion. You know, to me, Mayol won that round just because it was more aggressive, but you never know what the three judges are thinking. We'll take a look here. You see that Mayol has the reach, able to keep Calderon at bay pretty much, even without landing punches, because of the length of his arms. And right there, really not a good punch, but you saw that Calderon, in trying to get away, actually went between the ropes.
Seconds out, let's go, let's get him out, let's get him out.
Round 3, scheduled for 12. WBO Junior Flyweight Championship. Ivan Calderon, the champion. And Rodel Mayol trying to take it away from him. Mayol has had 2 World Championship fights in the past and lost both.
And you got to figure, you know, he's got to be thinking this is my last shot. You know, it's not too often you get more than 3 title shots, especially if you've lost, you know, all of them. But right now, he's really, I think he's presenting problems for Calderon because he fights long. He really does. And it's not Calderon's style to be on the inside. He's having a tough time getting inside. See, every time he makes Calderon take that step back, that's another time that Calderon cannot land a punch.
And Mayol has been first a little more than Calderon has.
The most effective way to fight a guy like Mayol, Sam, is to get close to him, because you got to try and smother his punches. He's a long arm puncher. He wants room. He wants to be able to extend his arms when he punches. And if Calderon doesn't get close to him like that, you know, he'll never stop him from doing that.
Calderon being cautioned by referee Benji Esteves.
I think that might be a sign that Calderon sees the same things we do, that he's going to rough up Mayol a little bit.